Well, for more on this, I'm being joined by our correspondent, Femi Akande, for more updates on this developing story. Femi, right, give us a bit of an update on this developing story and what has been the public response over the arrest of the CBN governor.
Well, the public response to this arrest of the CBN governor has really been massive. A lot of people say it is not unprecedented, looking at the impact of the cash redesign policy on Nigerians. That is what has elicited this kind of reaction that we're getting over the arrest of the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Just about every Nigerian has something to say about this. Even some people are calling for a further probe into the decision of the CBN governor to redesign the policy, and also the confiscation, what some people have called it, of the cash confiscation, because a lot of people at that time did not have access to their money. The CBN set a deadline for currencies, old currencies, to be deposited in the money deposit banks. And a lot of people rushed to beat that deadline. But at the end of the day, the CBN could not provide enough new notes that is commensurate with what was deposited by Nigerians in the banks. And because of that, the impact on Nigerians was really serious, because it's led to protests across the country. In some areas of the country, the protests even turned violent, that it led to deaths, destructions, and all of that. So people have really been talking about it. Some people are even asking for an expanded probe. They are saying that the CBN governor should not be the only one held accountable. Everyone in the previous administration, or within the central bank, or in Nigeria's economic circle, that would have colluded or worked one way or the other with the governor in the implementation of that policy that they now say was, that a lot of people have described as a failed monetary policy, should also be held accountable for the impact it caused on Nigerians. And you know, the DSS eventually admitted that they have the CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, in custody. We do not know for how long they will hold him, but we know Monday is public holiday. We expect that charges will be brought before the CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, latest by Tuesday. The DSS have not also said if they have an injunction, a warrant for arrest, if they have gotten a warrant of arrest for the CBN governor. You know, right now, information we are getting from the DSS is still very sketchy, but one thing we know is that Godwin Emefiele is in the custody of the CBN as we speak. Esther.
Before we let you go, briefly run us through everything that happened following the suspension and arrest of the CBN governor.
Esther, I didn't hear your question. Please repeat it.
Yeah, I asked you briefly run us through the events that happened following the arrest and suspension, the suspension and arrest of the CBN governor.
Well, it was a move that came as a shock to a lot of people, you know, looking at the role the CBN governor has played in the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You know, he was one of those that first briefed the president when he resumed office after his inauguration on the 29th of May. He came to work on the 30th of May. One of the first people that he met was the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, where he got briefings on the state of the economy, Nigeria's monetary policy, and also shared the direction he would want it to go moving forward. President Tinubu shared his own idea with the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. And you recall that he was also at every meetings the federal government held with organized labor when they threatened to embark on that industrial strike over the removal of petrol subsidy. He was also also a member of the federal government delegation that helped broker that deal with organized labor that eventually prevailed on it to shelve the strike. So a lot of people felt that Godwin Emefiele was becoming a little bit comfortable in the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But you know, nobody knew what the president had up his sleeves. He had promised economic reforms. He had promised to unify the exchange rate. He had promised a massive turnaround of Nigeria's economy. And you know, like he's saying, it appears as if Godwin Emefiele will have to go for him to be able to achieve these economic reforms he has promised during his campaign. And now that he's president and is settling down to work, it's now clear that Godwin Emefiele is not in the picture of President Bola Tinubu's economic reforms, the agenda that he has for the country. And, you know, this informed some of these decisions, and also because Godwin Emefiele is being investigated by the Department of State Security. It's just fair for him to step out of the scene and allow investigations to continue. And indeed, if he's able to clear his name, then he will get a soft landing. And if he is found wanting, if he is indicted by the DSS, then he would face the full wrath of the law. But it will be interesting to see what happens moving forward, Esther.
That's a fine place to leave it. Our correspondent live, Rosma Abuja, Femi Akande. Thanks a lot for the update there.